chances are, if you're buying or selling real estate, you are going to be using the services of a realtor at some point in that process. Unless, of course, you're a lawyer and you're buying your grandma's house. So, not always, but most people are going to use the services of a realtor. In this video, we're going to tell you how to avoid the common mistakes that people make to make sure you have a beneficial experience. Hi, my name is Stephen Berg from Century 21 Executives, and in 3 decades of doing this business, I can tell you that some things have never changed, and these 3 are among those. So the first mistake that people commonly make is not to engage a realtor soon enough, and that's our fault as a profession, because unfortunately the average in our industry is realtor will do a business once every 2.5 months. That's the average. There's a lot that are doing a lot less than that. So we give off this vibe as a profession that people are desperate to make a sale, and it just pushes people away, and they're just not comfortable because they feel like they're going to get pressured into doing something before they're ready, or get pressured into following a process that doesn't make sense to them. And it's an understandable fear. When I've been into an electronics store before, if somebody jumps on me before I'm ready and asks me if I need any help, of course, like you, even if I'm there for a TV, I'll often say no thanks. And then an hour later, I'm walking out of there with a TV. I just wasn't ready. And that's okay if you're not ready to deal with a realtor, but just beware. You need to get educated before you execute on a sale or a purchase. And by educated, especially if you're a buyer, you need to understand values properly. You need to understand the differences between a grade level entry and a walkout ranch of a value. You need to actually even go through a process to understand your own buying criteria. Often people will come to me and think that they have certain compromises they're willing to make or not willing, and that changes over the course of their education. So super important to take the time to get really well educated, and that happens by spending time looking at data, having some back and forth with an agent in a low pressure environment where you can feel comfortable. Because if you're properly educated, when you walk into the right home and it's a really great deal and it's right for you, you're going to feel good about it, as opposed to not feeling good, so you delay and you end up not doing anything, and then later on you regret it. Happens all the time, and it's because people haven't got properly educated. And again, that's a fault of our profession to a large degree. The second major mistake people make is they choose a realtor just by default. So guy who sold them the house, friend of the family, just somebody they met at an open house, etc. And that's fine, but you may not be getting the best agent for you. The fact is, as I said, there's a big difference between the average agents and the best agents. There's a difference in the way they negotiate. There's even a difference in services. For instance, if you're buying a house through me or my team, we guarantee you'll love it. If you don't love it anytime in the first year, we'll either buy it back or sell it for free. That's not something the average agent does. In fact, I don't think anybody does it. Same when you're selling a house. We have a guaranteed sales program. So if somebody calls me up to buy your house and unfortunately can't put an offer in because they've got a house to sell, I'll take care of it. I'll give them a guaranteed price on the house. If it doesn't sell for that number or better, I'll take it off their hands and your house is sold. But I'm sure other agents have programs too that are excellent, but it makes sense to research, to pick a top agent, make sure you're getting somebody that has a really strong value proposition. The third big mistake people make is they base the choice on the wrong reasons. So typical examples are a guy will give you something for free, or promise you a higher price than your house is ever really worth. These things can be, when you get told things that you want to hear, it isn't necessarily a good thing, because in reality, an agent who's an absolutely top-notch negotiator probably isn't going to give away the farm. And when you go searching after low fees, I mean, it could be the guy with the very low fees is an absolutely fantastic realtor for all I know. But I know in many cases that I see houses that sell below market value and I scratch my head. I had a client, James Jobst, and he will tell you he He had a guy come in there, offered to sell his house for 1% and told him all the money he was going to save, and he was so thrilled with it. Makes sense. But then 6 months later, his house hasn't sold. The only offer he got was $40,000 off of the asking price. And anyway, basically called me up and hired me. I actually listed it for higher than it was previously listed, and got them a much bigger number. So by doing business with myself, he saved $47,000. But you read those signs on people's lawns, seller saved $20,000, seller saved $11,000 by not using a realtor. Just be careful of those claims. For all I know, some of them could be true, but in my experience, what you net is very different to what you get. So you have to be aware of that. So be really careful. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Same with selling price on a house. We've all seen houses and thought, whoa, how could they be asking that? Sometimes that's what they've been told it's worth. And that's just the reality of it. And the price eventually comes down, but in the meantime, there's been a lot of stress, hassle, and disappointment on the side of the sellers. So remember those three things. Number one, pick your agent early, get educated, use them as a resource before you're ready to buy. Secondly, make sure you don't choose one by default. Make a conscious decision to choose somebody who's got some real value and you feel comfortable with. Obviously, that's a big part of it, but not all agents are alike. There's a difference between the average and the best in the amount of money you'll put in your pocket or what you will pay. And the third one is, don't pick them because you heard something that you want to hear. Maybe it's true, but you got to be really careful and rewind and make sure those other things are all right, and don't just take that part of the story. Anyway, that's my 3 bits of advice to you if you're buying or selling property this year and picking an agent. And if you'd like to have a chat with myself about our services, would love to do that. And I'll tell you about how our clients always finish ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.